Hey, John, welcome back to another conversion focused website review. Today we're taking a look at Chewy.com. And unless something has changed since the last time I was there in Portland, I don't think you have any pets. I've got a cat here at the house. We had a dog that passed away last year. So I have been a pet owner. I would be kind of in the target market for this. So I'm bringing a little bit of
Mhm.
that to the table. Not having any pets, I'm guessing you probably don't have a whole lot of interaction. But what's your background on Chewy? What's your familiarity here?
Um, yeah, I grew up with dogs. I love dogs. Well, all my friends have dogs, so often getting gifts through Chewy. So I have shopped on Chewy. Um, I also had a friend who did some merchandising with Chewy. He was there for a couple years. Has
Nice.
since moved on, but I did know somebody who was working for them remotely, which was awesome.
That's cool. That's cool. Cool. So I got the website fired up here. I was waiting for kind of that time based pop up to come. I try to
Hmm.
trigger like an exit intent pop up. We are in a guest window here, so there are no cookies or personalizations being saved. So it looks like we're just going to get this organic first user experience here, and you can see I'm seeing a little trailing high here in this gray
Hmm.
navigation bar. I'm guessing there's a personalization element that would happen there if you were a repeat visitor. So I don't know. Just this is kind of the raw, unfiltered first impressions. What jumps out at you on the page?
Well, I think the auto rotating carousel is attracting all my attention. It's moving very fast. I'm not catching most of the information because it's so busy. There's just so much going on in each of those, so much text and the images. I want to look at the dog, and then I'm like, well, what helped give 10%? Oh, we're already at 40%. Um, I think that overall, I'm feeling just really anxious and overwhelmed.
Yeah,
Um, and I think that's a huge issue here. They've got animated stuff in their navigation. We've got free shipping. We have shop, but most of the navigation looks like it's all shop oriented. So that's interesting. Everything has a drop down, which is a bit of an issue because it just is like, man, I know I'm digging in as soon as I click on this navigation. Um, That's really my first impressions. I do love that they have search up front and center because things are so overwhelming. If I know what I want, I'm really just going to use the search, right? And most of the time we would tell people use search because it's such a high intent to conversion opportunity, and we tell people we have to like force brands to do that. And here they're really making it front and center, but I almost feel like that's out of necessity here because everything else is so overwhelming.
yeah, I have a lot of those same feelings, and this is the second site that we've taken a look at recently where the carousel just seems to be moving so fast. And I listen to my podcasts at 1.5 times speed, but I don't think I have any settings in the browser here to make these things fly by. I do see like a really tiny pause button here, so if you want to take a closer
Hmm.
look at something, you can do that, and I'm guessing you can flip through at your leisure. But yeah, it does seem like it's kind of rapid fire there. The other thing that jumped out at me is I was looking at this gray bar and I saw the personalization first, but then it was like
Hmm.
all these other things are kind of like, if you're on subscription, maybe you set up auto ship and save some money. If you had a recent order, you would want to track that package. If you bought a physical product like this nice dog sweater, maybe your dog needs
Hmm.
some medication, so you go to the pharmacy. This all seems like stuff for active customers, and I'm not yet. I'm in a guest window. I'm a totally cold traffic
Hmm.
user on the website, so I feel like you could just hide that entire bar and remove one distraction or one thing trying to claim your attention here. The other thing that jumped out at me is this promo bar here above the
Hmm.
rotating carousel. It says mix, match, and save, but it doesn't tell you what. Buy three what, get the fourth free. The
Yeah.
location's also a little weird because it's white and it blends in with the rest of the background. But normally we would see these promo bars all the way up at the very top. It's just a lot of stuff competing for attention. And because of that, my eye's not really drawn anywhere. I think I would either panic and scroll away and go to Google search and look for dog sweater, or I would be trying to get down the page just to find some kind of like breathing room, basically.
Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree. I think eye tracking heat map on this would probably show most of the screen as a red. Just everybody like eyes darting all over the place. That was generally how I was feeling as well. But even if we scroll down, I just feel like there's so much here. Dog deals, cat deals. What is this oven baked? Is
Dog
that a
treats.
particular product?
Yeah.
Right? Buy three, get four. free again on what? Toys, clothing, and more, maybe. Exclusive deals, more pet deals. I mean, there's just so much going on here. Like maybe just focus on dog and cat and let people start that journey to conversion. This is the big issue here. I almost feel like they're trying to skip a lot of steps in the funnel.
Yeah.
And by offering too many options, they're actually making it more complicated, not less. So by simplifying this page dramatically, we could get people to take the next step in the funnel. And what is the goal of the homepage? To get people to take the next step. And that should be it. It's just get them to on that path to conversion. You know how it's an old sales person kind of adage where it's like, just get somebody saying yes and ask him simple questions, right? You want to do the same thing with conversion, right? And I'm not saying this in a black hat kind of way, right? Dark hat, whatever. It really is a just help people. And if you can get them to say yes simply on your site by taking that next step, then you're being helpful. And that's really the goal here more than anything else.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you can get creative with some of these things for repeat visitors, somebody who's signed
Mm-hmm.
in. Sure, maybe you want to show them a little tile to buy the treats that they just had in case they really love them, or, a reminder, hey, your medication needs refilled. You're probably running out of that prescription
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. That makes sense to me. But as a new to file consumer, I try to think about this like, what would the brick and mortar experience look like? Say I walked into a pet store and they were like, hey, how can I help you today? They're not going to
Mm-hmm.
be like, well, check out these dog sweaters and check out these baked oven treats and check out this hamster wheel and check out all these other things. They would probably start by saying like, okay, well, tell me what kind of pet do you have, right? And we would just
Mm-hmm.
start there, and it's like, okay, get me into some kind of a category. Okay, I have a dog. Is it a large dog or a small dog? It's a lab. Okay, cool. We got a large dog. What are you looking for today? Is it a nutrition thing? Are you looking for toys? Are you looking for whatever? And you would kind of guide somebody along that purchasing experience.
Yeah.
But with what I'm seeing in front of me right now, it just kind of feels like, I don't know, they got a pocket full of sand and they're just throwing it in your face. And I was like, here, grab something. So I think that a little bit of like simplicity and clarity would go a long way here.
Mm-hmm.
And there does seem to be some really strong discounting messaging here as well. And I'm not sure if that's contextualized to the time of year as we're staring down Black Friday here. But at the same time, it's like if everything's on sale, is anything really on sale at that point? So I'm
Yeah.
seeing a lot of that as well.
I wholeheartedly agree. I think they have created themselves into a discount brand. If I'm a new to file customer here, I am like, wow, Chewy's where I go if I want discounted pet products.
Mhm.
Is that really the brand they're going for? I don't know. As somebody who hasn't, I've shopped here before, but discounting wasn't what brought me here. It brought me here because I knew Chewy was the destination for direct to consumer pet. If I really want to order online, that's where I'm going to go. Um, so I don't know. I that's a little frustrating. I also think what's frustrating here is I look at top deals, I see the deal badge, and then I skip right over the product details to look at the big green box down below.
Mhm.
So I'm kind of my eyes. I'm not really even seeing the products, the details. I'm not reading the text by any means. I'm just seeing deal and then right down to the green box. So I would almost get rid of the deal badge and just move whatever's in the green box up above, and then have a clear call to action of a button for right below the price that maybe is a little more muted than that green, and that would help people to actually engage with what the products are. I also look at this and I say, okay, everything on here is a deal, but they're not telling me they're really missing the cardinal rules of if you are going to discount, what that should look like. What I mean by that is have the original price, the strike through, do the math for people and give them what the new price is, and then put the percentage off next to that. So what you're saying is 15% off, 40% off, you show what that price is, then you say negative 40% next to it. That's going to do you wonders here in helping people understand what the price is they're going to pay.
Yeah, totally agree with all that. And I actually thought these green tabs would be buttons that I could click. And I thought it was kind
Mm,
of interesting that you have an individual product pitch here, but then you have a button that would say buy select food and save 40% on select treats. That felt a little disjointed to me. But the fact that these are not buttons, they're not clickable,
oh, geez.
seems like
Yeah.
even more of a faux pas because you would expect to see a learn more or an add to cart or something like
Mm-hmm.
that right there. So you're basically relying on folks to intuitively know that they can click on the image or this text which isn't given normal treatment of like a heading, being bolded or something like that. So yeah, a lot of mixed messages here for me, at least as a consumer. And this lockup here is kind of the categorical structure that I was talking about. Is like, let's just start with what kind
Mm-hmm.
of pet you have, and they didn't take that direction. But at the very least, it's like, okay, well, you're looking for food, you're looking for litter, whatever
Mm-hmm.
oral care products, whatever you're going for. I think this is where I would expect us to start higher up the page. Maybe not in the hero section. I understand that those are reserved for campaigns or specific efforts at a given moment. But
Mm-hmm.
right under that, I'd just be going like, do you have a dog, a cat, a hamster, a lizard, fish? What are you into here? And then let's get you into the subcategories that go under each of those.
Yeah, and I guess you bring another good question up is, do they only serve dogs and cats, or do they have a, oh, look at this, shop by pet. Okay. So this is a question we've had to go halfway down the page quite a bit, right? Of distraction to get here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And even on top of that, you've got this carousel navigation where you can go deeper, but that's probably getting lost. I doubt many people are actually clicking
Mm-hmm.
on this right arrow to go deeper. So I would just, not that you have to list out every single type of animal that you provide, products for, but the most popular, 5 to 8 could probably be here in some kind of a lockup that doesn't require any
Mm-hmm.
navigation. And then you would get into, this would basically be the next level of categorization, which is like inside of the cat product line. What do you need for your cat? That kind of thing. So yeah, I don't know. It looks like a lot of just kind of repeat. We had deals up above. We have pet favorites
Mm-hmm.
by Chewy. So this is like the Chewy staff selecting these, which I think is an interesting element to the site. Is they do have these products here labeled as by Chewy. I saw that up higher a little bit. If I scroll up, you can see in the top deals there are 3 on the right hand side here that are not by Chewy. The 3 on the left are. I did pick up on that earlier. I assumed that those were Chewy manufactured and distributed products, whereas the other ones are kind of ones that they're carrying in a retail capacity from companies like Embark and Oxbow and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's not the case. Maybe they're just Chewy selections or recommended products. That's a little unclear to me. But either way, I think it's smart to call it out and differentiate those.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Um, Overall, again, I'm just overwhelmed looking at this page, and I'm a little disappointed. I always try to be pragmatic with these and point out some positives, but for as big of a brand as Chewy is, the history that they have, um, I hope that they've been testing these things out, and this is what has proven to get them the most revenue. But all in all, it just does not seem like a great visitor consumer experience. It just doesn't.
Yeah, I would agree. And they have such a fun brand too. Like just the
Yeah.
branding with the Chewy name, and there's a lot of personality hidden in there, but it's not coming through here. And most of the time, we're telling people to kind of tone down the brand stuff and focus a little
Hmm.
more attention and energy on the consumer's needs. But this seems to be the opposite, where it's like, yeah, let's just pepper them with product offerings and hope that whatever we put in front of them is either an attractive enough deal that they'll buy it, or it addresses one of their needs or whatever. But if we approach this as a blank page, and we started with kind of that brick and mortar purchasing experience and what that might look like and try to replicate that online, I think we would get to more of the step by step approach, where it's what kind of
Hmm.
animal do you have, what do you need for that animal. Okay, here are some of the Chewy selections, these are some of the top sellers, these are some of our favorites from our in-house experts, whatever. And then you're
Yep.
progressing nicely along, and that removes a lot of this visual clutter, which I think that there's probably some fancy psychological principle behind this, but basically, like, if people get overwhelmed by information, a lot of people just clam up and leave, and that's going to result
Yeah.
in a browse abandonment, and that doesn't do you any favors either. I will say that this section right here is really appealing to me. Is like a lot of people, especially this time of year, might get a puppy or a kitten for a gift, right? I do think this is smart. I'm not sure that it needs to go on the homepage versus like maybe a landing page, or maybe it's a homepage personalization if they came in through a particular
Hmm.
type of ad or something like that. But I do think this is a novel approach. Like, yeah, if I was getting a new puppy and it was my first time, maybe I didn't have one growing up, but I just got one for my kids, like I would 100% want not just some product recommendations, but some education around things to watch out for,
Hmm.
maybe some information on training programs and obedience programs, something like that. I think this is smart. I think it's buried on this homepage as it currently stands, but I'd love to see it implemented in a more contextual use case.
It could definitely even be the second step of that funnel, right? So, first step, dog or cat. Second step is, what is the age? right? We'll tell you some products and information for that age because the dog excuse me, the food you're feeding the dog or cat, it's based often on the age, right? And activity levels. So there's a lot, same thing with the toys, et cetera, the accessories. So there's, I would want an expert to look at that and say, hey, we should do it based on size of dog or breed or something else, if not age. But the reality is that you could easily get to age and have that puppy or kitten within that, that funnel step. So the other, now we're down to brands. What else is on this page? I guess it seems like they're throwing a lot at the window. I can't tell if this is an SEO play, but it certainly isn't for helpful for consumers. So I'm not really sure what's going on. Now we're talking about prescriptions being delivered.
Right. We get into
Join
holiday
the Chewy
favorites.
pack. Oh man. Okay.
It's quite a bit. And then we got some
Ooh.
explore more, and then we're into a fairly understated footer, surprisingly, for everything that was on the page up here, right? It does seem like you get down to the footer and it's like, well, yeah, I know we just showed you 1,000 products. We don't really have anything to mention down here anymore, whereas you'd like to see at least those high level categories repeated down here for anybody who made it this far.
Mhm.
And it's like, okay, well, I saw everything you have to offer. I'm trying to get back to whatever I need for my chinchilla. So like, where do I find the
Mhm.
chinchilla stuff? And it's just not available here right now.
Yeah, I love that. And I think maybe even Shop by Pet should be down here and you list the pets, or, by, well, I guess that's probably the best place to start. But at the same time, I see they have chat and message and phone calls. I would love to understand what calls they're getting from consumers who have visited the site. Understanding, just interviewing probably 10 of their customer service reps for 10 minutes each. What do your normal calls look like? Why are people calling in? What are they looking for? How many people are calling in saying, "I just want this product. I can't find it on your site." Or, they're overwhelmed as well. "I have a new dog. What would you recommend?" If they're getting those types of questions, that clearly tells me the website's not answering questions that consumers have. And so I would start there in terms of revising this content. Understand what consumers' challenges are, what questions they want, do some user testing, talk to customer service reps, and do that heavy research before you do any A/B testing at all, and really get into the the needs of the consumers visiting the site. Because right now it seems like they're trying to do everything for everyone who might be in the pet world, and it's just not. It's really difficult to do that well.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe we're missing some information about, the bulk of their traffic comes through organic search and lands directly on a product page or something like that, or Google Shopping,
Sure,
or it's coming through an ad
that's fair.
channel. Of course, that's an option as well. We're always looking at this as a new to file customer who just kind of landed on the homepage and is new to the
Yep.
Chewy brand. But still, to your point earlier, I hope they're at least testing this and they've landed in this spot for a reason. Otherwise, I think
Mhm.
starting with those consumer needs, those customer interviews, and trying to figure out, how does somebody interpret this page? How does somebody think about making a purchase and buying a product they can trust for
Mhm.
one of their loved ones? So, yeah, I'd love to see kind of starting from square one, putting that together, and then using that to inform the site structure. Because right now, it kind of feels like we have thousands of products, and we want to make sure that we get every single one of them on the homepage
Yeah.
somehow. Or we have dozens of brands, and we want to make sure everybody has a tile on the homepage. It just kind of seems like a lot of information crammed into a relatively small space. And I think
Mhm.
we mentioned several times already, that would make me want to abandon and go find something with some more simplicity. So I'm sure we're
Yeah.
probably not alone in that regard. John, any
Yeah,
parting words
for
for the,
sure.
the Chewy team other than hopefully this is helpful, and look forward to seeing what they come up with the next round of revisions?
Yeah, I agree with that. And all in all, I think that, the brand has obviously been successful. So they're doing something right here. And they obviously have more data than we do. But from a new to file customer perspective, I think there's some opportunity for improvement here. But all in all, they've done quite well for themselves over the years, right? So good on them, and hopefully they continue that wonderful run.
Agreed. All right. Well, we will wrap it up there. We'll get this over to the Chewy team. As always, thank you so much for your experience and your expertise. And we'll have you back to do another one of these really
Yeah.
soon.
All right. Thank you, James.